Madalina Cojocari.
Madalina Cojocari.
Madalina Cojocari.
In the Madalina Cojocari
case. The search for Madalina Cojocari continues.
It's been over 2 years since Madalina Cojocari was officially reported missing, and the Cornelius Police Department is still searching for her, still hanging this sign outside the agency. I spoke with the deputy chief just hours ago. She tells me this case will not go cold, and as for leads, nothing is off the table.
I'm a psychic, medium, tarot reader, and numerologist, and I investigate cases here as part of the Third Eye Witness team. Hello, my name is Rhiannon Rose, and I'm a professional medium and one half of the forensic mediums here at Third Eye Witness. When I am not in the studio recording these incredible sessions for you, I am teaching the next wave of mediums and psychics in my mentorship and development courses, as well as my private one-on-one readings and my live shows.
Hi, my name's Kelly, and I'm a case manager here at Third Eye Witness, along with Melanie, who works behind the scenes. Our role involves receiving the cases from you and gathering the most accurate and up-to-date information available. We coordinate closely with the case submitters to ensure that all the details are precise. Once everything is confirmed, we pass along only a current photo and name of the individual at the centre of the case to the forensic mediums. So today we're looking into the case of Madalina Cojocari. Madalina was reported missing in December 2022 in Cornelius, North Carolina. At that time, she was just 11 years old. This case is still ongoing and no charges have been filed yet. There are numerous theories and lines of investigation surrounding her disappearance, which has attracted significant media attention.
Okay, so this is the first time that Kelly, Jenny, and myself are coming together after Jenny and I have done our private investigation. So about a week and a half ago, Jenny and I both sat down in our offices and looked at the photo, which we don't even open in the emails until we're ready to do the investigation so that we don't get any information coming through beforehand. About a week ago, we sat down, looked at the photo, had her name there, and jumped into our own individual forensic medium and psychic investigations. And this is where we get to compare our notes. We get to listen to Kelly, and she can either validate or tell us information that isn't matching up, to see whereabouts we're at and how much of it actually matches what is known versus things that still are yet to be discovered. Finally we get to talk about it. It's always so hard to wait. And so how do we want to start? How do we want to get into this? Well, from what I've heard from Kelly, we both get a little bit excited, and the only thing we say to Kelly, the only thing we're allowed to say is, are we on the right track? Right? Yes or no question. Are we on the right track? Can you at least let us know if we make any sense? And the only information I've got so far is that we have got very different information this time.
Because this case takes place in over a timeline and some different locations, we feel that you both may have picked up on different parts, different timelines.
Interesting.
So we feel, Jenny, that your reading may have came in the early stages, where Rhiannon, we feel that you are more at the later stages or current or maybe even beyond.
Okay. Interesting. Well, why don't we start with our who? We know that this is Madalina, and you've said, Kelly, that let me kind of make sure I've got this right, that it's unsolved. And yes. She is missing?
Yes.
Okay. And that's how I felt when I first tuned in. And so, Rhiannon, what was your first impression when you first looked at the photo of Madalina that we were provided? So, I actually found it quite hard to connect in with this photo. And so, it challenged me a little bit. So I felt very strongly that there's a family connection to this case, or a connection of we know the people involved, right? I got a very strong feeling that when it comes to the Who, that these are familiar people. Whether or not they're close, I couldn't quite recall, and I think you'll see me talking about that on my footage as well. But I got a very strong feeling. I actually felt like this was connected to the dad or the father's side of the family as well.
There are two things immediately that come up when I connect in here. One of them is that I keep seeing line as though I cross like a state line or a borderline. And I also feel as though the people connected in here are known. Whether or not they're closely linked, I'm not sure, but I do feel as if they are known. Don't know, I feel as though there's this element or fear or thought of kidnapping connected in here, or being taken by somebody, but they feel relatively familiar to me. There's a man involved here who, I don't know if it's actually dad, like this is within the family sort of situation. Immediately as I saw her photo, I picked up on dad.
It almost reminds me of like a custody battle gone wrong. If there are two parents, one from the States and one from somewhere else, and there's a split up and a breakup, and the dad lives over the border that's not in the States, and the mum is from the States, and he hasn't been able to see her or anything like that. So it's like almost parental kidnapping is what it feels like. There's something doesn't quite make sense. And this is why every time I tap into her, there's not necessarily this fear as if it's complete strangers. It's almost like just unsure and a familiar stranger, or someone that I haven't known for a long time but is connected. It could be like an uncle or a adopted family member, as in cousins that like the dad's brother or good friends have been roped in some way, shape or form for money to help or be on a lookout or keep her safe until he can sort it out, and for everything to die down before he goes, continues on with what's going on. And that's where this bilingual sort of thing has come in as well. But maybe the father is in a location or a place that's the lower socioeconomic connection, and there's not necessarily ill intent here. There's desperation. And that's why maybe the little brother is not in this, because it's a different father or something there. Like there's two relationships that have happened with this parents here.
I do feel as though she's been put in a car and taken. Again, like over state lines is something that I hear. There is this forest almost that I keep being taken to. It's almost as if there's a lot of tall trees and there's like a creek and there's water through it as well. I'm going to look into that soon when I try and do a bit of remote viewing and see if I can see where she is and what's around her.
Yeah, I got that too. When I look at my notes, I know that I had one man who I didn't understand where he fit, but I did feel a strong pull to dad's side of the family in some way here. So it's interesting that we both picked that up.
I become aware of a man, and this is a man that is known to Mom and Madalina. because I want to know, like, I feel like I know where her mom is, but I don't know where her dad is. And I don't know if she was taken in sort of a custody situation or if there was a conflict between her parents. I feel conflict between her parents for sure. Now, that's tricky because if a child goes missing or a child is harmed, often parents, get divorced, or their grieving processes are so different that it's hard for them to stay together or stay connected. But this feels prior. This feels like prior conflict with dad. References to drugs, smoking, alcohol, like with her mom or with her parents. And like her uncle, like I'm getting like uncle feelings here. And someone she was supposed to trust, an adult that she was supposed to trust. I don't know if that's dad or connected to dad or friend's dad, right? But there's father figure here. I would love to see a photo of her mom and dad. And then if there's a stepdad as well. But I feel like someone she was supposed to trust, but then this completely other person. Maybe it's like this guy was supposed to pick her up, but this guy shows up and she trusts him, but she shouldn't. Like, it feels to me like she's been watched. She's been watched and there is a plan for this. And then taken. That's how I feel it. But I'm really struggling with, but how does dad fit into that? Because if this is his daughter, he wouldn't need to stalk her and watch her. But I don't know if it's dad or father figure or connected to dad. Like, that's kind of hard for me to figure out at the moment.
And I also got an element of like a friend and a friend's dad. Did you get anything like that?
I'll have to think about that. I can't recall it. I've been watching my thing, but I just know that these people are not complete strangers. I just feel like the people, they cannot be complete strangers to the family. I did pick up on information about who I feel has been with her the most recent, and one of the people that has been with her wherever she's been. And I got quite a lot of information about him, but I was missing those connecting dots in between, besides either knowing the father, being connected to the father, but it's definitely there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I felt too. I know that there's this other man. I don't know where he fits in the whole timeline of events, but I totally got that as well.
I did pick up on quite a lot of sort of bilingual connections to being bilingual and having two different languages in the family, and also being, I don't want to go too far ahead. I did have a bit of a purpose behind the why, and I picked up on it being, I'm not sure, and I don't like to put fault or blame on people. It's a very big accusation to say, to point a direct finger. But I believe I had information connected to it being a bit of a connection to custody battle as well.
That's what I got too.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I felt that too.
Okay. So that comes into our what, right? Into what happened. And I do feel, I also had notes here of something happening in January and there being a birthday. I also got a name of LA, as if it's La something, like LA, and a V name connected in there as well.
I got missing, and I wrote down custody, conflict with parents prior to. And so it was hard for me to understand, was that just an ongoing situation? Or is that to do with her disappearance, right? Because sometimes we can just pick up on the family. But I kept getting pulled back to dad somehow. And I felt like an element of revenge. I don't know if there was like a revenge situation going on between, familiar people to her. But that sounds like we're echoing each other in that way. So I'm interested to hear what Kelly has to say about that. Yeah, I wrote down adult issues become her problem. Like the adult's issues became Madalina's problem.
I feel in some way, shape or form that the environment that this girl has been in and around has It's almost as if there's a part of her that's older than she looks, or that there's a element of being around mature themes or mature audiences than, or the social situation, the people around her are connected in a way that is more mature than sometimes you want kids to be around. I feel like this girl's also quite gutsy. You know, there's this element of her being very savvy, very smart, and being very strong in the moments of where she's needed to be strong, and having almost this element of her wits about her, or this fierceness about her, and that you wouldn't maybe expect her to respond and react to situations the way that she does. I think she's a lot tougher than she looks, and she's got this ability to sort of be really, really brave. And to have almost like an element of being the ability when in pressurized situations to be quite calculated. But I do feel as though maybe it's where this photo was taken, but there's a connection to already having a bigger fight on her hands before this event happens. Like
young, playful, happy. You know, the personality that I get here is somebody who brought a lot of sunshine to the world, you know, to her friends, to her family. I feel like she is very loving, caring, creative, you know, just a beautiful girl. It feels like adults' issues have become her problem in such a devastating way.
And one of the other things I was picking up on is before this event took place, that this little girl was connected to environments where they maybe would have been too old for her age. So I feel as though some of the things that have happened around this little girl, or where she's been, has been environments where she's been around more adult environments and around grown-up themes a little bit more as well. I had this feeling that there was a lot going on around her that you kind of would prefer the innocence of children stay away from instead of being taken into, and that there was a lot happening around her that was out of her age, sort of like age appropriation. You know,
Yeah,
I'd
I agree. I felt that too.
You felt that as well?
Yeah, I felt that she matured or had to grow up.
Yes.
At a young age, and I feel she's almost responsible for a sibling, or left alone younger than she should have been. Like that was coming in as well. But again, is that connected to what happened, or just that's her life? For me, that was really hard to separate. But I did feel that as well, that she was, adult content.
Yes.
That she was exposed too young. Mm-hmm. I know that she is such a beautiful girl, and so hopefully we can help in some way. But this element of I've got conflict with parents and dad custody, but for some reason I kept feeling like there's a friend to her or another girl her age that saw something or knows something, and I don't know if she's been questioned properly. Did you get anything around that?
I'm getting the sense of something about like her a friend's dad as well, like a parental figure close to her with another man. Why am I getting like her friend's dad? But that feels different. That doesn't feel like he's who we want to point the finger at. It feels different in some way. Like he somehow maybe knows someone. It really makes me feel like, okay, he's connected. I don't know if he's family. And again, something about a friend, her friend, a previous sighting, a previous suspicious encounter, suspicious vehicle. Like there's something before her and her friend talked about it. So I wonder, I hope that they haven't bombarded one of her friends to like speak up or something, but I wouldn't be surprised if another girl her age had some information, but it's like shortly before, or maybe they've had conversations, or maybe Madalina has told her about a fear she has. Like I want to talk to her friend, but I also don't want to push her and pressure her because she's so young. And I'm also aware of more than one girl like her. So this does feel like it has a bigger story to it. And I'm aware of a close call or a less significant but still significant event leading up to her disappearance or what happened to her, because it feels like there may be evidence of somebody stalking, or somebody who's been somewhere they shouldn't be, and people have noticed this.
So not specifically a girl around her age, but I did pick up on that a woman has seen something almost like out the corner of her eyes, or watched something happen, and will eventually come out with that information. So I do feel as though there's a woman. I feel we'll have to go back over my content, my original recording, because I believe I say that I can see a woman almost as if she's walking into a deli or a 7-Eleven when this girl is being taken somewhere, and sees her and doesn't want to say anything yet, or doesn't quite know what to do, but I have a very strong feeling that a woman is going to come out and say, I have seen her, this is where.
Someone has recognized me or seen me in passing, just caught me by a glimpse. There is a woman who has been passing by me, who glimpsed me, or almost felt like out the corner of their eye, and at one point has seen me. There is somebody that has seen me. There is a woman in a rush. It's almost like she's walking into a shop, or we almost cross paths, or she sees me out the corner of my eye, and thought, is that the girl that I've seen on TV or on the news, or is that the girl that people are talking about? Somebody has seen me as I'm being moved, as I'm being like in between transportation. There's a connection to being taken back past, like is a 7-Eleven like a corner store, like where you can just get when you go into like a servo and I've got lollies, bags of chips, and cold drinks, and you can buy your cigarettes. It's like a service station without being an actual servo. Like and she was going in there, or she was being rushed in or pushed in somewhere, and that person has seen this girl. I think there's going to be a woman connected in here who, I want to say like better late than never, but I feel as though there's a woman connected in here who is thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking about everything, and will speak up. I do feel as though there are still clues yet to be discovered. I do think that she will be found, or has been found, or will be recovered. I do definitely feel that.
I do feel there's a woman that watched her and was a little bit confused, and there's a little bit more to it. But I have a very strong feeling that there is a woman that has seen her. 100%.
Yeah, I got something like that just before we got on the call, and I was kind of quickly tuning in again. And to add to that, because you've mentioned like a 7-Eleven or a public place, I keep getting this element of footage, or camera footage, and it feels like it's in a public, a store or something like that. And I know
I'm seeing like a apartment hallway. So I don't know if there was supposed to be footage, if there's footage connected to that. Or neighbors, or hearing something in the hall. It feels to me that she's been left alone, or she's been following through on her responsibility, Madalina. Maybe this is like after school, or home alone, or walking home. Like there's something here around doing her everyday thing. And then, yeah, I feel her vanishing. It's like she's here and then she's gone.
And I know I mentioned that in my initial reading, and I hope that we have it, but I also wonder if something's been deleted. I mean, that happens all the time, right? But I was thinking, like, there's something here around a public location, a store, and footage. And I also, I just want to add something that I picked up that, Kelly, you wouldn't have this information from me yet, because again, it just came in right before. But something about a public place that she might have traveled to, like with family, but there's like I keep getting like an amusement, a park, an element like that. So I just want to say that and get it out. And then, I wrote down traveling, missing from a public place. Do you feel like there was an element of this being planned?
Oh, 100%. So yeah, absolutely. This is not a quickly, this is organized. I very, very much feel as though this has been organized. I feel like this is part of something bigger, a bigger network of people, or a bigger network of crime, or a bigger, there's something much, much bigger connected in here. It feels, I don't know what the mistake is.
It's almost like there's this element also of like biding time and staying in one place, biding time before going somewhere else. I keep hearing like having to be in one spot until things calm down because there's too much about it. So too much news articles about her, too much fuss, too much bigness. And so there's a pause and there's a wait and there's a standstill. Like we have to wait here.
I don't want to say it, but I do almost feel as though there's been an element of trafficking here, or connected on a broader network, an element of trafficking here. I feel like I've been taken, or I've been moved. I do feel she's so much stronger than people give her credit for.
I'm just hearing suitcase. So I don't know if there's an actual suitcase that's been found or that is involved as some piece of evidence here, but I am aware of the topic of travel or suitcase situation somehow being connected. But I also feel that there is travel. Like it feels like travel, moving around, driving around. I know that Madalina has been transported. She's I don't know if this is like a kidnapping situation.
Yeah, and I've written down here, watched, planned, taken, but how, and then I put dad, ? Left alone, home alone, walking home, and then gone. Yeah, this word of revenge and adult issues, I just kind of keep coming back to that, but something also feels confusing about that to me. So maybe I'm just second guessing myself.
I feel as though in this case you've picked up a lot more that I get. Is that what you meant, Kelly? Like Jenny's picked up on a lot more of what's happened immediately, but then I've picked up on a lot more of where she is now. So you've got more at the start of the investigation, and I've got information further towards the end of the investigation. So at the moment, you've got much more information than I do. I struggled at this beginning.
Okay.
Struggle at the further back. a lot more than I do for the beginning of
That's what we
is where I struggle the most.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't I just get a couple more things
Go for
related
it.
to the who out,
You go.
and then we can pick up and get into your stuff as well. So there's another man, and I'm just going to describe him here, and I hope that it makes sense. But I have this other man, and I wrote down Spanish accent, olive skin tone, and this is before I even opened the photo of Madalina. I wrote down greasy hair, and just that I felt like he was a bit of a slob. Like, I just feel like lots of cologne and jewelry and like slobby, you know.
There's somebody standing guard. There's somebody with like a fucking mini fridge, like a little bar fridge. It's like it's almost like a held hostage situation that I feel is going on here. And there's somebody in charge of, he doesn't have all his teeth. I'm missing teeth. Dirty, sweaty, hot, mustache, speckled grey and black hair, dark skin, wrinkles, drinks a lot of Coke, a lot of Coca-Cola. Maybe it's the other Coke, but I see lots of Coke.
Back to this feeling of like travel, moving around, going from place to place with this man. Ooh, and he has like a smell. I think that there's a lot of cologne for him, but it's like overkill is the word I want to use with him. He feels like he has I don't know if it's Spanish accent, maybe not quite, but something about him. He's got more of an olive skin tone. I'm not sure how much hair he actually has. I don't know if he's lost a lot of hair since then or what, but I'm drawn to him having some darker hair and like a greasiness to him. I'm also aware of facial hair with this man, and I feel him to be almost like, I don't know how to put it. I don't want to call him a slob because I feel like he is trying to care about his appearance, but like his standard of looking good is like pretty low to me. Like I feel like he is, I'm just seeing this like big baggy leather jacket on him and this big belly. And then like, I feel like he's a jewelry person and cologne. Like he's trying to look like he's got his shit together, but I know that he doesn't. So I don't know who this man is. And I think I'm going to come back to this and figure out how this man is connected, if he's connected to a crime or, I do. Yeah. This man doesn't feel to me like somebody who is obeying the law. Yeah. I feel like he's got some criminal behavior connected to him. I just feel this like money is important to him, and I feel like he will do anything to make money to anyone. So there is some kind of money involvement here to do with Madalina in some way. Because I get a group of people connected to that as well. So definitely some sort of criminal behavior that I'm going to come back to.
You know, his I just feel like his version of trying to clean himself up and look good is like the lowest possible effort he could make, but he also has like jewelry and cologne, so it's like, it's weird to me. Like he really kind of grosses me out. But I do feel he does have a bit of a criminal background. Like there's a reason he's involved somehow, and it's criminal related. To police, greasy hair, you know, I just feel like this man is like icky. But what confuses me about him is I don't think he is her dad. this man feels older than her dad. He feels like they must know each other somehow, or there is a connection somehow, but I don't know how. So hopefully, tell me what you've got and let's see if it connects.
So I actually said the word Spanglish. So there's a person that's speaking Spanish and English. I picked up on that gentleman around about the same ages that you've mentioned there. He looked to me around about that 50, 60 years old. Also, I was feeling as though his sweatiness was connected to the location that I also picked up on. But this man, I picked up on him drinking a lot of Coke, like drinks a lot of Coca-Cola. He doesn't have all of his teeth either. And I picked up on him being a little bit kind of like you've said, sweaty, a bit yucky. I picked up on him also having like the olive skin, so the darker olive skin, definitely a connection there to being Spanish. Although weirdly I was like, Colombia, Spanish, sort of, that's where I was sort of taken, but that this guy is the one in charge of looking after her at the location that she's been taken to.
There's helicopters that sometimes go over or around me, not around other people though. Like there's a lot of people around me, but not in the room or in the place that I am. Gosh, the headache that I am getting as well. Getting a massive big headache. Just keep feeling like I've been taken to somewhere that's tropical, or I'm near somewhere that's tropical. There's like forest around me. There's like if I zoom out of this place that I keep being taken, then there's forest. There's definitely bilingual, dual language. What do they call that? Spanglish or something like that, when it's, half English, half Spanish. But I don't want to be taken by her image, but I just keep on hearing this language that's half English, half not, like Spanglish, or there's another culture connected in here with this too. I keep feeling like everything's hot, like there's sun coming down on me and there's hot, like there's heat where I am. It's almost this feeling as though if we take her to the lower socioeconomic sort of area, then those people won't do much or say much or know how to do it or understand, or they'll be too busy, that sort of thing. I keep seeing like rows of buildings or rows of sheds or rows of storage or rows of shanties or rows of something like that, and I feel like that's connected into where this busyness and this street sweeping and stuff is as well, and also that's why it's hot. So that's leading me to like an environment where it's not the normal environment. I keep like, I don't know if there's a connection to Colombia or Mexico, or connection to more of like a third world kind of, not third world, but a more challenged environment than she would be used to. I feel like one of the problems when it's come to finding her or doing the research or getting help is actually connected to where she comes from, almost as if lower socioeconomic sort of family or place. And so we already have these uphill battles and uphill struggles as it is already, to then be going and asking for help and everything.
And that he's hot, he's sweaty, he's missing some of his teeth, he's got a mustache, so he's got a mo, and it was like one of those, I wear white singlet tops, but I've got a bit of a pot belly on me, sort of, and there's this dirty sweatiness that I picked up on around him as well. Also, as you're talking, definitely being known to police, definitely being connected to the dad somehow, but he's just in it for the money. He's just been told, do this,
that's what I was just
your
going to
job,
say.
you'll get the money, and you have to just babysit, essentially, to look after and keep her in the same place.
But this smelly cologne man with the big belly who I'm going to put him in his mid 50s probably. If he's earlier 50s or late 40s, he looks a lot older than he is because he's like smoking, drinking, not taking care of himself. So I know that he's not a healthy person. But yeah, I want to put him around like 55, 56 in there, and known to police, previous criminal activity charges. I'm not sure. Okay, I just feel like there's a man here connected who like uses people. I feel like he will use anybody to get what he wants, and he would not even stop at like a child or his own child. Like, she somehow feels like she's being used to me, and there's like a revenge kind of element here too, of like, I'm gonna get her and I'm gonna like keep getting this picked up, this picked up element of being picked up and just disappearing.
There's an L name. La something.
I feel like there's this that she lives in this place full of culture, or I don't know what the ties are to the busy streets and people not wearing shoes and loudness, almost as if there's this big buzzing place of different cultures. I keep picking up on and feeling, although there's different languages being spoken, I keep seeing like Vespers and that sort of thing as well, and that sometimes people sweep the streets with like the brooms that are made of dry brush, not plastic, and like, I don't know, like Mexican, Colombian sort of totally different. I'm so hot when I tap in with her as well. I feel like I'm hot.
Right? I don't feel as though I don't think he's not touched her or anything like that, apart from keep her in the same place, watch over her, and that's your job. So very much picked up on a man that feels the same as you're talking about, that comes across the same ages that you're talking about, and like lives on Coca-Cola.
Yeah, because I did feel that there was a money exchange situation with him. And I'm trying to find where I wrote this down, because I did write something down about like, being used, but there's this revenge and this planned situation, but that there's money connected to him. Yeah. And being used by man.
Mm-hmm.
That man.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot of who. I also got the name Rosa and Melissa. So those are two names that I got. I'm not sure if they make sense. And I didn't get a whole lot about Mom, except before we got on the call, I saw an image of a woman yanking her by the arm and like pulling her away. And so that really confused me too, because I didn't get that the first time. So I don't know if she played a role somehow in taking her, but I see this, and I also feel that that's connected to some kind of footage of her as well. I got that there's a lot of awareness, but not a lot of answers.
Hear that there's been a lot of awareness raised about her, but not a lot of answers. So it feels like, it just feels like dead end, dead end, dead end. And I get this kind of vanishing into thin air feeling. I feel like there's been a lot of talk about how she's still alive. I feel like there's a lot of theories about her being alive. Like I don't know if there was a tip of a sighting and that's led to a lot of these theories. I mean, these things happen all the time, right? So yeah, I kind of want to ignore those tips or those theories.
And I got dead ends, and I wrote down dead end times 3, vanish into thin air and taken somewhere. And then I also had this, did you get any kind of religious connections as well? Like a lot of prayer, like a vigil, candlelight stuff. Did you get anything like that?
Rosa. And I'm getting a lot of religious connections here to probably her family in some way, which we may or may not be able to validate, but I feel like prayer. But I do feel like this maybe was in the news if there's an article about that, because I just have this like search for answers and the candles, and that feels a little bit religious for her. So like a vigil, maybe. Church. I just keep hearing the church. Like someone from there.
So I've got a lot of the where. And I've got a map here that I drew as well. So I feel that she was immediately taken over a border.
I feel like I'm somewhere hot, that there's corrugated iron, whether that's fences or shanties or sheds or something connected in there, that the flooring is like stamped down dirt there, wooden floorboards, that sort of thing. I feel as though there's heat. There's not a great deal of air conditioning or anything around me either, that it's relatively stuffy, and that I am in like a tropical or hotter, there's a hotter location that I'm connected to as well. There's lots of hustling and bustling and everything around me. I can hear, like I mentioned before, sometimes there's a helicopter that goes overhead, sometimes there's beeping and that sort of thing. It's a lot of traffic goes nearby me in some way. I do feel that there's a lot of greenery, a massive big forest in some way, shape or form around me as well. I do feel as though there's like a really crap TV, like an old shitty television or something like that too. There's always noise in the background of some description from some kind of media, whether or not that is radio, music, television. I do feel as though there's that noise in the background of whatever's going on there as well. It's a very compacted, very busy, very full place. Like, this is not in the middle of nowhere. This is smack bang in the middle of everything, is where I feel like she is or was. Like, it's only once you hit the forest that there's nothing but trees. But besides that, there is people and buildings and noise and everything everywhere. A lot of vehicles. Do feel as though there's a big river nearby. That would be out that way. So if I'm looking at her, it's 12 o'clock, then that's at 9 o'clock. I feel as though if I'm looking at her and she's in front of me, and over that way is the forest, over that way through the forest and big bridge and that sort of thing is water. And then behind me is all this built up traffic and city. I feel behind me this way is like basketball courts and kids playing basketball.
Right, she's gone. As soon as I tapped in and connected to her photo, I'm over a line. I'm straight over a border. I'm over a line. And I also picked up on this. I picked up on like where she was. And what's crazy to me is she's in the middle of a lot of stuff. She's not out in the middle of nowhere with nothing around her. She's absolutely surrounded by people where she is. So I actually picked up on this really busy street scene of people wearing bare feet, people riding Vespers. There's lots of shops, almost like tin sheds all around, that sort of thing. So lots of working sheds, mechanical sheds, that sort of very dusty environment, and in a place that's very hot. So inside the place that she is, and this is where that connection to that man being quite sweaty and grimy came through, because I feel like he's sitting in a location that's hot, tin shed sort of hot, a lot of dry heat there too. And her being in this little room. So the vision that I got was,
in front of where I am is the street, behind where I am is the forest. I keep feeling as though there's some kind of hospital nearby. There's some kind of medical center that's not too far away. South, then, like, straight line, there's a medical center. I keep seeing like literally like a white square with a red cross in the middle of it. Excuse me. And even my external clairvoyance is making me look at a little weird cross pattern too, so that's interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if there were street dogs around where she is either. It's basketball courts off that way. I can hear the bouncing of the ball and the shouting of the kids, but also like the rattling of the chains. If I go that way, that's the way that the hospital is. So 12 o'clock is forest. 3 o'clock is hospital / medical. 6 o'clock is business basketball court. So that's between 6 and 3, though that's more 4.5. 6 o'clock is like basketball streets, everything. 9 o'clock is the river, big water channel. Wouldn't be surprised if somehow there's cargo ships, although container ships or something like that, like containers on a river. I feel as though on the other side of the bridge is not such as low socioeconomic, where you start to climb up again. But when you get this side of the river is where I don't think my people are from here. It's just kind of where some of my extended family is, or where some of this male's extended family is. And they're not going to turn me in, but they're going to do not much until one woman's guilt or one woman's fear or one woman's, the weight of what she sees and knows is too much. I think she's afraid at the moment of what will happen if she does talk or if she does say anything. But I feel as though she gets to a point where she's like, I just can't not do it. Like that little girl needs, like I can't hold that in anymore. I feel like she's allowed to go out at nighttime, this little girl, or was allowed to go out at nighttime, like to spend the days inside. And it's almost like this place is in between, like it's only temporary. It's a waiting it out sort of place here. So I've got my little M with the 12,369. It's like the land and this is all like forest, water. This is
I'm taken out of like a truck, right? And there's it's like I'm being taken. The streets to me feel like quite like dirt streets. People were sweeping with the dry brushes. You know, when people sweep the dirt with dry brushes, that sort of thing. That's what I was picking up on as well. A lot of people wearing bare feet, but it being very dusty, dry heat. That I was picking up on, and like someone saw her be taken out of the vehicle and led down this alley, and that's where a woman saw it happen. That's where the woman came into it, that she's seen this girl be taken out, rushed off down the back street or down the side street, and goes, that's, you know, and then seeing the footage later on and being like, oh my gosh, I've got a connection here. I know I picked up more information on that too, and that's there's this, I don't think we have 7-Elevens here. Or we do. Anyway, it was like this little hot deli. So there's lots of busyness around her. I could hear helicopters going over her sometimes as well. And I've actually drawn like a little map. So if I was, it's Madalina, correct? That's the right pronunciation?
Yes.
Madalina. So if
Madalina, yeah.
Here, I feel like in front of her, it turns into a big forest, like a big rainforest. Down here, I've got this river and a bridge that goes over the river as well. If I'm over this way, there is a hospital, and then there's a basketball court as well. So I kind of put myself in her place and looked up and was having a look at the scenery and everything around me, and there was the forest, a river. I keep picking up on a church near her as well. I know you mentioned religion, and I keep picking up on a church near her as well, a basketball court and a hospital there. So she's in the middle of all this. She's in a very busy location. I feel like she's surrounded by people. And you know, when like hidden in plain sight sort of thing. So there's so many people around me that I'm not going to stand out because I blend in. That's what I feel it is. But I definitely picked up that I was immediately and intentionally taken over a state line or taken over a line that gives us a bit of a manipulation of power in some way, shape or form. So I don't know how the states and everything work over in the States, but there's a reason. It was the very first thing I saw. I was taken over a line. I was taken to bilingual, a lot of different languages spoken around me. I did feel as though it was one of those places that's of a lower socioeconomic community, and I picked up on a lot of culture as well. But I said the word Spanglish, so I know there's a connection to teaching, you know, Spanish, Portuguese, English, all mixed into one. And I just kept on seeing this girl being in a room where she's got a bed in there and she has to sit there in this hot little room with her bed, and it's basically got to stay here till everything dies down and then it'll be okay. So I would like to have a look on the map location that Kelly sent through and see what I pick up on there as well.
Rhiannon, do you feel it's in what you're seeing? Do you feel it's in America?
I don't know enough about where I feel as though not necessarily.
Because you say state lines, could that be like country lines?
Absolutely.
Or and I'm not fishing for information here. This is like, you know, it might help us when we're drawing on some maps and things.
Yeah. I want to have a look at the map because I reckon I will very quickly go. But I feel like the line that she crossed over means these police can't act there. The police here can't necessarily work here. So they've got to use two different services, and that was intentional. So It doesn't necessarily feel like America to me, but I don't know enough. I have to have a look on the map.
I've got here travel, and I got suitcase. It doesn't mean she had a suitcase packed necessarily, but I was getting this element of traveling. And I've got driving, I wrote down transported, and I wrote down place to place with that man. And so I wonder if we're kind of echoing each other in that way. But I didn't get across a border or I don't know if I would say out of her state, perhaps. I'm not super familiar with the area either. But I was getting this 30 minutes to 2 hours away and driving, but I wanted to stay more in the 30-minute time distance. And I wrote down, but here's the thing, I'm contradicting my own self, because before we got on the call, I was like, oh wait, I'm picking up on a really busy place. I was like, is this an amusement park or like it was a busy environment that I was picking her up in. And I didn't get that the first time. The first time I was getting a country road, between two cities.
I am starting to see a highway. And again, that brings me back to that sense of travel, this like going, because I'm seeing a very flat highway. It's a sunny day. I'm seeing a guardrail along beside me, but there's no buildings. So where I'm looking is very much like in the countryside. I know that there's town behind and town ahead. I mean, obviously, but it feels to me like we've left behind her home and now we're driving far from what is familiar to her, and there's nothing around her, and it's very flat. It is daytime when I'm seeing this, so I don't know in the timeline of things where this fits. But I do feel her being taken somewhere. And again, I get this highway, the side of the highway. So I don't know if there was evidence or her or how this side of the highway fits in. This kind of countryside between two towns, highway. And I feel like, okay, so I need to go into that a little bit more because I'm receiving stuff and not saying it. As I'm on this highway, I am traveling south. So I think that north is where she's gone missing from. And then I get on a highway and I go south. And I want to go only like, I wouldn't go further than 2 hours, but I would say more like an hour. And then even from there, I'm more comfortable in the 30-minute mark from home, like from her town, south on this highway. Because I'm getting like an incident on the side of the highway. I don't know if that's like a transfer spot or incident of some kind there on the highway. Because I do feel there's someone else. Sometimes in like true crime stories, it's like, and he got pulled over by the police and they never thought to ask if that was his daughter. Like it kind of feels like that, like almost like there was a speeding ticket or the police, I don't know. I don't think it's police, but I do feel there's been a sighting or an incident on this highway at like the 30-minute mark. But then I do think they keep going.
Is that in-between highway type of feeling, and not a lot of like houses, not a lot of population. And I did really feel like she was going south. I knew that where she was from was north, and then that she was traveling south with this greasy man. I wrote down something about like an incident on the side of the highway, like almost as if they got pulled over or they were questioned or they were, now as I'm saying this, I wonder if it connects to your border situation, because I know that the vehicle she was in was stopped and there was contact with, it felt like a police officer, but not quite. And so it's interesting what you're saying. I'm wondering if I was picking up on that perhaps. I don't know, but I know that there was like an interaction on the side of the highway, or the vehicle she was in, somebody did intercept, but they didn't ask the right questions, or they didn't pick up on what was happening there. I don't know exactly what that could be, but there's like, I also wrote down.
Can you see what you...
What do you feel, or what did you pick up on the vehicle was?
I think I did. I think I was just getting a car at that point, but when you say truck, that triggers something in me. I got this element of rainbows, and I didn't know if it was like a name connected to a location, but I just kept seeing rainbows, but it was more location wise.
Where do we look? Something about rainbows. Now, she's a young girl, you know, rainbows and hearts and butterflies and all of those things often apply. This feels more like, because when I'm asking her, like, where are you or where do we look? I hear like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which clearly has to be some sort of metaphor, or I don't know if in that next town there is something like leprechaun related. This sounds weird, but I have to just say it. Rainbow, pot of gold. You know, maybe there's like I'm hearing like Rainbow's End. Like maybe there's a road name, location, or something that has a significant amount of rainbow related stuff. That is so weird. It's like Rainbow Drive. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of all of the ways that it could fit. So I kind of, again, this is something we can look at on the call. Maybe if we have a map of last seen location, maybe you guys can research this. A main highway going south, 30 minutes to 2 hours. I know that's kind of a big distance, but like, is there something rainbow, you know, rainbow related?
It's random, but I know it was connected to location. South and rainbows.
Once I give a little bit of information and maybe show some maps, we've got some different photos of some of the characters involved, that may be helpful. And
Do you have photos of some of the characters involved?
Yeah.
I want to see them.
Yeah, so I think this case is going to be a great one for our Third Eyewitness Network, because there is a lot of information that other people may be able to draw on. So like I said at the start, this case has a lot of theories that not a lot have been confirmed, but are plausible. So I think the community will really be able to get into this. So Madalina Cojocari was born in Moldova in April 2011. Her mother is Diana Cojocari. Her biological father is unknown. Madalina loved horses, playing games, the outdoors, and spending time with friends. So Diana met Christopher online on a dating website, and then she moved with Madalina to America and married Christopher. So they then settled into their home in Cornelius, North Carolina. And Madalina attended Bailey Middle School in Cornelius. In 2011, November, Madalina went to school as usual, and then the next day was the Thanksgiving break. When school resumed, Madalina did not come back to school. The school tried to contact Diana multiple times, but she didn't reply. Police documents report that on December the 12th, the school counsellor and resource officer visited Diana, but no one answered, so they left a truancy package. 2 days later, they requested Diana to come in for a meeting, and she said, I will bring Madalina in for a meeting. So at this stage, she hadn't been to school for 3 weeks. When Diana came to the school, she didn't have Madalina with her. And then she told the school that she hadn't seen Madalina for 3 weeks.
Yeah, this delayed reaction, this like, even this feels like with her parents or her caregiver, like they've come home late, or I don't know if they were working late and she was home alone, or like there's a delay here, and that really hinders things. And then I feel there's a delay with taking this seriously. If not, I don't think the reaction time was as it should have been. Feels like a delayed reaction here, which makes me feel like, yeah, some of that evidence is lost. So that really bugs me. I feel like part of the candles, it's not even just looking for answers, it's justice. It's like, we failed. She was failed, because I don't feel an appropriate reaction time for her, which then has impacted probably an investigation or answers. So that's devastating. So it again, I don't know if it's like the lifestyle of her family has impacted the seriousness or the search or the reaction time here, which is really unfortunate.
She hadn't seen Madalina for 3 weeks, and she had not reported her missing. This raised concerns, and then the police became involved. So, this is what I mean. It's quite a mum that didn't report her daughter missing. So Diana's reasoning for not reporting her daughter missing was that she didn't want to make waves with her husband, Chris. Chris had been away, and she said she was waiting for him to come home to see whether he had seen her. And when he came home, he said he hadn't seen her either. Both Diana and Chris were charged with failing to report a missing child, and both of them spent time in prison.
I felt like the woman yanking her by the arm, to me, I felt like that was her mom, and I only got that today. And so I was like, whoa, wait a second. Why is she being so aggressive to her daughter? And when was that? That's the only piece about mom that I got.
Madalina's mum, Diana, burnt a lot of Madalina's belongings in the backyard. Why, we do not know. Whether she was burning evidence. One report says that there was actually carpet ripped up from her bedroom that was burnt as well. One of the other mysteries is Diana traveled to Madison County in North Carolina, which is up in the mountains, in the woods in America, for no apparent reason. This was several days. Another mysterious fact is that Diana transferred large sums of money to a priest in Moldova. 2 separate lots, 2,000 and then 2,000 again, 4,000 in total. There is no explanation why she did this. This is the mysteries, because when Diana was released from prison, she then moved back to Moldova, and she currently is in Moldova now. So one of the theories is that something was happening in America, and Diana wanted to remove Madalina from that situation, so she sent her to Moldova, and Diana is in Moldova now with Madalina. That is a theory. America does not have any extradition laws with Moldova, so they can't get Diana back. Diana and Chris are divorced now, and Diana is back in Moldova. What if I shared another photo Would you like to see that?
Do you want to look at a photo of Madalina first, Rhiannon, and then we'll get into a photo of mom and boyfriend?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so I'll show you another photo of Madalina.
Do you get anything at all?
Nah.
Yeah, that photo is very flat to me.
Okay.
I get this repeating footage of a massive, massive, massive tree and something at the very base of it. And that repeats for me, but I don't know where that fits in.
Okay. All right. That is a picture of Madalina Cojocari.
I don't trust a single word that ever comes out of this mouth. Not what she told the man that she married, not absolutely a single thing that comes out of that woman's mouth do I believe.
Yeah. The only thing that with what Kelly's saying is that I did get that there was a delayed reaction and a delay in the seriousness of her disappearance. But I didn't connect that to mom. I connected that to like the police weren't doing their part. But I did definitely get a delayed reaction, a delayed response. And then this image of just her mom yanking her by the arm, you know, I just felt it really, I was like, why do I suddenly feel like her mom is not a safe person either?
Yeah.
And I was blaming everything on dad. But right before we got on, I was like, I feel like mom is not safe. And I felt a lot of aggression and anger and frustration directed at Madalina from mom. But I still had that like parents battle, like just this battle between parents. And so we must have been assuming that Chris was her dad.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see a picture of him. But, you know, if I knew nothing, if Kelly, you didn't tell me anything about this woman and I'm just looking at her photo, I would say do not trust a single thing this woman says.
No.
Just, she is somebody who will take advantage of anyone and any situation, whether it be money, possessions of any kind, anything that makes her happy. She'll do anything. I do not want to be around that person.
So what I pick up on, interestingly, is this crossover of two things. One of them, I feel as though she didn't have the patience as a mother, right? She didn't necessarily have this patience as a mother. And I pick up on this over-medicalized sort of things that she would do to her children. So, i.e. give them sleeping tablets, right? But what I pick up on the contrary to that, but it kind of mixes in, I wrote down that she's kind of vicious and a bit of venom in her as well, and that her smiling is a mask. Like, I just feel like the way that she presents herself versus her true self behind that is completely different. But I also have written down ignoring serious medical issues. So if she wants you to be quiet, there's here, I'm going to give you some sleeping tablets. But if there's something wrong with you, I'm going to say, it's fucking nothing, lay down, go to sleep, leave me alone. You know, I'm not going to medicate when it's proper and when there's due care necessary and needed. But when I don't want to be bothered, then I will. That's what I pick up on. Like, I just pick up on this
Neglect?
Yeah. I do feel the neglect side of things, but I just feel as though there's who I present myself as to the public and then who I am actually inside my house. I also feel I would not be surprised, and I know this sounds really horrible to say, but I would not be surprised if there was some element of either prostitution or something similar to that as well. You know, like I wouldn't be surprised, or I kind of pick up on my lies or my mask make me money.
Yeah.
So I feel as though there's this kind of, like you said, any which way I can make it happen, I'm going to happen. This fella that she's married, no matter what story I have to tell him, there's a scheming sort of, scamming sort of vibe towards her that I pick up on as well. I don't like her nose. I feel like her face wants to transform into something quite vicious. I've written down vicious and venom, which is really pretty intense, horrible words to write down about somebody as well. But I just feel like she's not who people think that she is, which this just fascinates me.
Pathological liar.
Yeah, liar by trade, 100%. But
so another interesting fact is in one of the court documents, Diana had sent messages to her cousin, whose name is Octavian. We don't have a photo or much information about him. She sent messages to him on a WhatsApp chat asking him to smuggle Madalina away from Chris.
Smuggling is very in alignment with all the visuals I got of her movements.
It is.
Even down to the vehicle, like I feel like I'm looking at like an old removalist truck or like a white sort of removalist van or something along those lines. You know, here they kind of look like a refrigerator, a delivery truck. That sort of thing.
Sorry, Octavian, Diana's cousin, owns a transportation business.
Okay.
Interesting. And this is something I'm noticing that I wrote down. Theories, she is still alive. But I feel like those are theories. And I feel like this is one of those cases where there's so many theories that it starts to take on an energy of itself. And so many stories are created from this theory and that theory, when it's, to me, it feels like this is very simple. I do now think that mom is involved because I got that right before the call, but I do think that a man is responsible. And should we look at a map, or are we going to look at him next?
Show me him next.
Okay.
What's his name? Chris. Right? He knows exactly what's happened. He knows exactly what's happened. The palms of my hands are burning. Like, I want to peel my skin off when I look at him.
The only time he spent in prison was for that failure to report.
What? All right.
He's not considered a suspect.
Does this guy have kids? Does Chris have his own kids?
He does not have kids. No.
They are in this together?
Yeah. All right, show me him again.
That's his mugshot.
Not the man I saw looking after the girl. I can almost hear him talking. See, I feel like he's been lied to. Something doesn't add up.
There's a third man involved. This is the thing, is I've got two men.
Jenny, I can't remember it with, I think it was you said an older man. He is 22 years older than Diana.
Like, was he in his mid-50s at that time?
Yeah. Let me...
Something's not right though. I'm getting this interesting I don't think he would go that far if he didn't have to go that far. So there's something about a connection of cleaning up somebody else's mess, or something doesn't add up for me. Something doesn't add up for me. I'm trying to find the language and I can see it sort of repeating and swirling around inside my head, but something doesn't feel quite right. That
So yeah, Chris is at the time. Chris was 61 and Diana was 39.
Where was he when it happened? If he was not there, if he was away, where was he?
So in the weeks leading up to Madalina's disappearance, Diana had sent Chris on a trip to Michigan and told him that she and Madalina were going on trips to the mountains. Madalina, then she told him that Madalina was in her room suffering from illness and sending messages indicating that the two were together. This is through court documents.
Which is interesting that I've written down for Diana ignoring serious medical issues when she says that she's been messaging him about not feeling well or being whatever you've just said. And I've got written here that she's like, there's a discrepancy when it comes to medical issues and that sort of thing as well. So that's interesting to me.
So Christopher has maintained that he didn't really know that Madalina was gone until the school brought it to his attention.
I
3 weeks later.
I feel like he legitimately loved Diana. Right? I feel as though he may not have been a great man or a good man, but he still probably wasn't expecting how much of a bad person Diana was. So I feel as though he was left no choices in some of the things that they went through and the things that they did. But something isn't adding up with the actions that had to be taken. I don't know that he would hurt children. Like, I don't think he'd be capable of taking the life of a child, but I do not think he's a good man. So this is what's not adding up to me. There's some discrepancies in a couple of different things to me. It's like a scribble. It's trying to unwind a piece of knotted string.
So it's documented that Diana had some delusional thinking. Chris stated that in the summer of 2022, Diana believed that Russian President Vladimir Putin and Michael Jackson were stalking her.
I feel like there's a very simple explanation.
See how Melanie and I were just like, we think if this case can be a side case or something, because we think that a lot of the stuff you're both saying will come out in months, years, whatever time. And then if you're time stamped this episode, your readings, but there's nothing that we can just, nail down right now. It's baffling. I can show you, we can do some maps and
Yeah. I still want to go to the... I keep seeing him dealing with Diana going, ugh, what now? Like, that's what I keep on picking up on over and over again, is being surprised at how much effort she was.
I'm sure she used him.
Oh, yeah. Yes, 100%. That's what I mean. Like, he wouldn't have done it himself, but he would have done things for her or cleaned up her mess. I don't feel like he instigated anything, but he may have cleaned up the mess.
Yep.
That's how I feel.
You know, another thing I wrote down, and maybe you guys remember, Kelly, uncle and drugs. But dad figure, conflict between parents, disappeared thin air.
Yep. Custody situation, prior conflict with dad. So there's no information about Madalina's biological father. We know that he is Moldovan. Madalina was 3 or 4 when she came over to America with Diana.
Okay.
I'm baffled at this case. Like, and I think maybe the confusing thing is that we're both right, but in this twisted way.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we doing next?
Do you want to have a look at some maps?
Yeah. Rhiannon, I looked at the map before we got on the call today. I looked at Cornelius, North Carolina.
Bring it up for me. Okay.
So
go back in, because the dirt I'm seeing, all the dirt that I keep seeing is red, and that just looked like there's red dirt to me, or the ground
over
is
here.
red dirt. Like, what's that?
So this is their house here.
Mm-hmm.
And that is
the dirt that I kept seeing was red.
Like here.
Yeah, that colour ground. That colour ground that I want to sweep. That's the colour of the dirt in the ground that I want to sweep. What's that?
What is that? Hunter Farms.
That's the colour of the ground that I see anyway. That's the colour of the dirt.
You mentioned a channel as well, Rhiannon, in your map.
Yeah.
And a school and a hospital, basketball court, and helicopters.
Yeah.
So Melanie and I looked multiple maps. North Carolina, Miami, Moldova, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought that it would be handy. We showed you some maps and then something might
I want
connect.
a drier location. It's too green for me.
Okay.
I mean, and even then, just over there's not their summer in December either. So, you know, but I want a drier location. I want more dirt. I want drier. I want hot.
We've got
over a state line or over a line.
I don't have a good.
And I want a town. I want a big forest. I want a river. I want a bridge. I want busyness. I want dirty. I want like shanties. I want.
So that's Moldova. And you can see there's an inlet here that creates quite a large waterway going through.
Yep.
It's a bit more barren, I guess you could say. Yeah, Melanie's saying maybe farms, like, because it is quite a... Moldova is like I said, it's a very low socioeconomic area. There is a high prevalence of trafficking, child exploitation, and child sex trafficking across the border to Ukraine.
Yep.
It's both of them. They both know what happened, and they had to turn on each other, and They're just both keeping their mouths shut. It's both.
And there's no explanation for the money that she's sent to the priest.
This is
I
sake. Can't read it, can you? It's Friday 2nd, 2025. Right now. This is the date right now in our recording. Friday, May the 2nd, 10:51 a.m. Right.
Kelly, can you bring up the map of Cornelius?
Yes.
That you had there? Okay. 24 minutes south is Charlotte. And when I see Charlotte, I want to vomit in relation to Madalina.
Okay.
Now, I think that it's a big city and that that's not very specific. But when I see that, instantly I was like, ugh. And something rainbow related, and I want to go at least to Charlotte or at least another hour and a half. I know it's not a lot of information, but that's like the landmark or the thing that we need to put on the map. I feel like she's from north, they went south, Charlotte makes me want to vomit, and it's something rainbow. That's all I've got. That's where I end right now. And I feel like this is where someone who lives in that area, or one of the, on Facebook, if somebody knows something that has a landmark that's rainbow related.
I think definitely, put all this information into the network, and definitely people can have a look and see what they can come up with.
Was she taken to one place and held there for a while before she was collected and taken somebody else? Was she transported here and held there? Was her life taken here? It's a never-ending list of really... So this is definitely one that we're going to have to sit with and take some time with, and maybe call in the community to see if we can delegate anything or get other people involved in it. This might be one of those cases that spans out over X amount of time, and that we check back into and, become something instead of just a one episode sort of case, I believe.
Yeah. And it does feel like with podcasts and media attention, there is updates.
Yeah.
Quite often. There's particularly last month was Madalina's birthday.
Yeah,
So
which I think we nearly investigated on her birthday, which is crazy to me. Like,
Melanie and I had that conversation. We were like, whoa, did you realise it's Madalina's birthday? And it was just very current. All this new information was dropping.
Yeah.
Okay, just one sec. I want to read off my list of random things just so that we have it recorded here. And so I have my random items. I've got suitcase, tattoos for Madalina. I've got artwork connected to her to her story and what's gone on. I've got some sort of emblem or a logo as well. So, or there's been a design created for her that's put on things when we remember her and look for answers. I've got jewelry, clothing, backpack found, like an infinity sign and wings. So it's like a almost like this symbol connects to Madalina. When you see this, think of her, or think of missing girls like her, but it's a logo of some kind. I got cows, but not farmland. which didn't make much sense to me. Someone from church. And then I also had stadium, baseball, loud crowds, and something sports related being connected shortly around the time of her disappearance.
I keep hearing the word January. Being connected in here. I feel like someone's birthday's been missed, or there's a birthday. I just feel like everything's on hold at the minute. Like, has it been about 3 months? I keep getting 3, January, February, March, April. Maybe. Number 3, 3 months or 3 something. 3 months, 3 something. I don't know what the numbers 10327 means. There's a V initial and a V name coming up here as well. So I've got an LA so far, La something. Then I've got a V something as well. I do keep getting a reference of there being a little brother for this one as well. Or half brother.
I don't know if there's a lot of siblings for her, because I'm seeing her looking after a baby, even though she's a baby herself. Like, I see a kid on her hip. I see like siblings, family, big family, being much older, being more mature than her age. And I also want to know who Melissa is. And I don't know if this is a friend or another victim, but I've got Melissa here.
I feel as though this will come full circle, if it hasn't already, that this will come full circle and there will be success. There will be like a return home.
Theories she is still alive, sightings and tips, an apartment, hallway, and neighbors. I just have to get that out of me.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
So that I feel like I've said everything I can.
I just have never had such a clear location before. You know, that's something that I can't let go of. And I guess we have to think of some of the information we get really still being symbology, that spirit still speaks in symbols, pictures, colors, all of this kind of stuff. And I guess the further we get into this and when we're discovering it and digging it apart, we really start getting quite logical. And I feel like sometimes spirit wants us to go, hang on a second, remember, I don't talk in logics. I talk in signs, symbols, colors, pictures, sounds, taste, smell, touch, you name it. And so I just feel like we're chasing, something's tail. I feel like this is going to be a really tricky one, but we know what we know. I just feel like there's real grit to what we've got. It's just one of those things where we can't tie a knot on it. We can't tie a bow on it. It's really one of those open-ended situations. And that's the thing, sometimes in readings, it's not until days, weeks, months, years later that we turn around and go, that's exactly what it was. And that feels to me like the case that we're going to have here. I think we've got some really valid information that some way, shape or form in the future is going to come out as being legitimate, and that I feel as though it's going to lead us towards different timestamps as well. I mean, we've got a window of 3 weeks worth of question marks that we don't know what happened in. It doesn't necessarily matter what happened before it. It doesn't necessarily, we can't do much for what happened after it, but I feel like we do have a bit of a pinpoints of what happened within that 3-week time frame. And although we can't get some of those bigger answers at the moment, I think there's some really important things that we can chew on, or that we can use to get our community maybe participating and helping us with this investigation. And it might be more for entertainment purposes, being a public case as well, than being of assistance and actually helping people in that private case scenario. So this will be one of those cases where we sort of work together, we can get everybody connected and a community happening and feeling included, and kind of bring them into our world a little bit, or to bring them into what we do. And the rest of it is yet to be said. The rest of it is yet to be figured out. It's an enigma at the moment. This case is a bit of an enigma.
Anybody in the area, if you have information, please join our Facebook group, Third Eye Witness, the network, and start the conversation. Help us out. If you recognize any of these details, if these things make sense to you in ways that we can't pinpoint from our location, let us know.
You might know what we don't know. They might see something and be triggered and be like, no, I know that this is here and that's there, and I know this is in there. And that's the benefit of having a community, a network, and the internet, is that people can be like, oh no, I've been there. I've traveled through here. I know exactly what she's talking about when it comes to the rainbow, or when it comes to this particular area. And, you know, it's not that all of it could be wrong. The confusing thing is that all of it could be true.
Yeah.
100%.
Woo!